Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Forge of Champions. Jesus, that was an intense game.
Things got a little bit hot in here.
A little bit warm.
That one was a real browbeater of a game. Jeez, man.
But we still have potentially two more games here, and I feel like Barrage with a fantastic early game, but just some mid/late game mistakes cost them quite a lot as Diabolus were able to claw that back, and it just ended in a base race, man, of all ways to end that game. A base race. It looked like we were going to have a nice and easy game at 25 minutes there for Barrage, but not the case. As the retirement home, they maybe need to think their retirement for a little bit more.
And if there was anything that just sums up that series, the fan vote, the predictions that we had on Twitter, 51% for Diabolus to win, 49% for the Barrage retirement home. Could it be by any smaller of a margin? No. Could that game have been won by Diabolus in any smaller of a margin? No.
It was so close. There's a lot of things we can talk about on like how that game could have ended, and you know how potentially they could have won the game. But let's not focus on that. Let's focus on what happened. What happened? Because we saw a fantastic start there from Barrage, but that kind of fell apart into the mid/late game. They weren't really, because they built around getting Jack and Maka as the main carry, and he went 0-6. And Barrage, they just play. Diabolus, they played around all of the other members. As we're heading into picks and bans, we had a rotation of the spot on the map here. Have we? No, they're both on blue, same side. Okay, they're on the same side again.
Okay, so I really think for Diabolus, you might want to take the Nidalee away, because yeah, Scoot does still have champions that he can play that will have the early game impact, but not ones that you can use to quite the same level. Like the clear speed on Nidalee was insane, the healing was insane, the damage was insane. And the whole strategy was just to get Jakamaka as far ahead as he could and then have like a double support thing going, which if you have a Lee Sin, you can't do that with him. He does still have great clear speed, great wave clear, great damage in team fights, great impact, but it's a slightly different style. So maybe that's something that you look to try and take away.
Alrighty, well, the bans are starting to come through. The Syndra, Yasuo, Diana, and the Silas so far, followed up by a Yuumi ban here by Barrage. Diabolus, one more ban for them. What do they want to take away?
Things looking pretty similar to the previous game. Will things switch up here? No, it will not. It will be the Pantheon once again. Could we just see a repeat performance? Will it be the Caitlyn? Will they put as much priority on it this time as it was their first pick in the previous game, and it will be the same?
Well, it didn't work out how they wanted it to in that last game, but maybe this game they can get it going. This does mean the Zyra Khan is potentially just open again for Diabolus if they want to pick that up.
Now, the one thing that really made that previous game as close as it was in the base race was the Mountain Drakes. And it's not every game that you're going to stack 2 Mountain Drakes, or even potentially 3 like we saw earlier on with the Caitlyn composition. So putting a lot of trust once again into that siege of the bottom lane, they're just going to take away the Morgana, that extra little bit of safety. So now what do you pair with this Caitlyn to make it so potent in the sieges? As Jakamaka didn't really have the kills in the team fights, but when it came to knocking down the towers, that is exactly...
Are we just having... Oh, there's the difference. This time, they locked themselves in the Karma. Now, technically, this could also flex into the mid lane. I believe this was...
I wouldn't expect it to,
actually,
because they nerfed it very slightly in this patch, but only specifically for the AP builds. For support Karma, it's not that big of a deal, but for the top lane and mid lane Karma, it's quite a hefty chunk of damage that's been taken away. So it's not going to have the same level of safety against especially engaged tools like... There's no Rakan in this game, but Gragas, without having the Black Shield on the Caitlyn, you can easily catch her out with a combo from PFI. He was pretty much on point with a lot of the explosive casts, and that really was an avenue to allow Diabolus back into these games, just picking off key members in the fights.
All right, well, there's going to be the Yorick ban here by Diabolus Barrage. What do they want to take away? What do they want to leave open? And what do they want to get their hands on? That's what I'm looking towards here. It's going to take away the Gangplank. Kakan was just too disgusting on that. You can't give that over once again. And that's where the difference maker is this time. They opt in for the Gragas before the Gangplank. Last time they actually picked the Gangplank already. Denying that and maybe give Governor something he would be a little bit more comfortable fighting into.
Banned away the Renekton in the previous game. Will it be the same story? Will not be. It will be the Ornn taken away. So they've kind of identified that this is what the strategy is going to be again, is just get this Caitlyn to the point where she just shreds through towers. So taking away the upgraded items, taking away the tanky front line. Maybe Barrage might have to switch things up. And they even take away the Renekton as well. Diabolus. These guys are just stealing all of Barrage's lunch money.
All right, well, what do they have left to spend? What can they get their hands on? If you want to get yourself something that can kind of range deal with that Renekton, you can take the likes of either the Kennen, maybe the Gnar, something that can kind of range poke them out. Have to see what Governor wants to play here.
You could still take the Karma top lane. It has been nerfed, but it's still doable. But that might not be the answer. No, Governor, more of the tanky player, as you've alluded to before in the previous draft phase, is going to take the Gnar. So, bit of safety against the Renekton. Ooh. Okay.
This is something we actually used to see Vrao play a little while back.
This is another Vrao champion as well. Those AD
That's
assassins.
what I want to see. I've been saying it. I don't know why people aren't picking it. It's so
Imagine
strong.
the combo. A Gnar knocking 4 members into a wall and all of them
wait,
being stuck.
wait.
Forget that combo.
So
maybe it's all eggs in the Fiora basket?
Okay. They don't know who they're playing into mid. So this is most likely the Fiora mid. I would be quite confused to see a Gnar mid.
Yeah, Gnar mid is probably not the case.
But who are you playing Fiora into? Because Cassiopeia just
that's a rough
miasmas you and you can't
phase.
use your Q. Fiora just happy to take that away. That could have been a Kiana.
But what they have with the Fiora now is another champion that can melt through turrets. Because with the changes on this patch, where she can crit towers with the E, with the Q can also focus down the towers, she can shred through them pretty quickly. So they've now got, what, 3 members of the team with Nidalee if she does build into like a Lich Bane, or even without one, like in the previous game. You saw how quickly that Nexus tower exploded.
I mean, yeah.
But it's how do you get to them?
Yeah. This is the problem, right? Like, I see what they're trying to do here with the Fiora. They want to pick something that can, you know, beat out the mid lane, kind of negate it. And also, like you said, with the crits now on the E on the towers, you can take them down fairly quickly. But for me, it's like, okay, Miasma stops you from using Q, which is kind of one of your key abilities for chasing onto someone in a fight.
How are you going
to proc that? What are you going to do in a team fight? What is the game plan here? Is it a 1-3-1 where you send the Fiora into a side lane? But Kiana does that as well. And Kiana actually has an okay laning phase versus the likes of a Cassiopeia, thank you. Because of the fact that you can 100-0 them. Vrao could prove me wrong, though. Like, I don't want to say, like, okay, this is a stupid pick, because they might know something I don't know. They might think this has some options, but I'm excited to see what they're going to do here, because Vrao was picked a very ballsy pick, and it's down to him to really show us what he's made of.
I'm interested to see when it comes to the mid game, the lane assignments, because if you end up with Fiora split pushing against a Renekton, that could potentially go either way, depending on who's able to get ahead in the earlier stages of the game, because the Fiora can block out of the Renekton stun relatively easy as long as the reaction times are good, which we obviously expect from players at this level.
Yeah.
It's pretty telegraphed when a Renekton's trying to stun you, so you can counter that. You have a lot of damage, a lot of true damage that will burn through any resistances that he picks up. If you are able to win that split push in the side, then maybe you can go for a base race part 2.
Well, part 2 of this series is about to get underway as we take to the Summoners Rift for our 4th game of the day. Can the retirement home finally crack open a win here? Or will this be a 2-0 for Diabolus? It's all to play for as we take to the Rift.
It's good. Chucks out the same spear as he did in the previous game, but finds no connection. So he knows that there's not going to be anyone in that bush. Everyone is going for a much more standard level 1, as we've seen throughout the majority of the summer split of UK LC. No funky level 1s. Thank you to the Steelers for bringing those out, but seems like that's going to be the end of it for now.
You
but
say that.
Diabolus might have other ideas.
It's quite rough, though. You will take a lot of damage from the empowered inner flame by Reclamation. So decide not to blindly walk in towards a Karma. And they do just step away for the moment. Vrao in the mid lane on this Fiora. Draws first blood, but then just gets spat back onto and loses that fight.
TFI. It'll be interesting to see whether he goes for the same jungle path this game and just beeline straight to his blue buff to make sure that Scood can't be nicking that one away.
Reclamation's going to take a pretty hefty poke to start this lane out. Goes the Mantra-inspired Inner Flame. Peels over Peacemaker. Goes a little bit wide by Jerkmaka. He's able to trade out a little bit. But Vrao for now, pretty much as expected, is just going to be bullied out of lane.
Does have an option to try and fight back as, again, Scood will be clearing his jungle a little bit quicker than PFI will be. PFI actually went up to do his Krugs after the red buff, so he's a really long way away from mid lane, and he's still got his Raptor camp to pick up for himself as Scood is already making his way towards the bottom side. Fury sniffs it out though, places an early ward on his bot side of the river, so he feels more comfortable knowing that he's not going to have any spears lobbed at him from the darkness of the rivers.
The push by Barrage is actually starting up here. They're doing a little bit of damage here, a little bit of work with this early poke. Have to see if they can get a better game though for Jakamaka, because game one, really underwhelming by him. He was just getting constantly caught out. There are changes. He hasn't got the Morgana this time, so he has a different form of safety and shielding. Is Governor going for a fight with Kakan? Khan will look to turn it around, but with those hyperprocs getting stacked up, Governor's going to be able to do some serious work here.
One thing that I did pick up from the Forge of Champions Open qualifier finals is that Jakamaka and Reclamation were bullied a little bit out by Lion's Creed when they were set up to go for dives.
Ooh.
Fell victim to it. PFI forced to smite away his own blue buff. He's still down a level, but Scood is all over the jungle once again.
Yeah, trying to assert some form of dominance. It's not quite as snowbally as it was last time, but see, he already cleared his camp, so he's going for that full clear as Kakan trades up with Governor, but Governor does just bite back with those hyperprocs. Kakan does need to be a little careful because Governor is about to gnaw out, and that's when some damage really can start to come through. As a spear lands onto a minion, Fury going to be able to dodge away.
I was just allowed to clear this wave because Scood has already cleared the entire jungle. He's taken the Scuttle Crab on the bot side. He's already moving through to the top side. That spear was just sort of a, you know, on the way past. I might as well just lob one at you, see what happens. But he's taken just about everything. PFI should have been spotted out here.
They're teleporting in. Jakamaka has his flash, so does Reclamation. Instant flash away. Now Reclamation gonna have to hold for the moment, trying to get his way out. Heals onto him for it. Got a lot of damage to work with, but if that binding lands, it could do some work.
Oh.
Flashes into it, Reclamation. It's gonna be forced out of lane, but doesn't go down.
The binding did land, but it was a little bit too far under the tower to try and commit to it. Karma, notoriously difficult to dive under the towers with all of her self-healing, the shields. Definitely a risky proposition, so they'll be happy taking away every defensive summoner on the Barrage retirement home bottom lane. It's still an ignite up for Reclamation. Really, all that was expended there was the teleport from Dragdar, which he was probably about to use anyway to get back into lane, but we'll shove in the bot lane and then back away once again to reset. PFI might just be running into Scood in his jungle.
Scood gonna make his way out though, as Vrao actually might take some pretty serious hurt here from Fury. Mana bar's a little bit low though, and Vrao feeling a little bit confident. Does have that Conqueror, remember, can stack it up fairly quickly with the E auto attack reset. He'll also use those weak spots to recover some health, but he's gonna just step away for the moment. Vrao thinks better of it, doesn't know where PFI is, doesn't know where Heathen is, and both of them are around that mid lane at the moment. So we do start to take notes of the bases coming through. The pickaxe picked up for Jakamaka. Dragdar bases on a longsword.
Boom.
Doesn't have his teleport for a little while as he did get forced out the wave earlier. Now Vrao going for a fight. But he's going to take some serious turnaround, and now Heathen is coming in. There is a flash available to Fury. Vrao jumps away underneath the tower. Sidesteps are big here. Actually uses the ulti. PFI's being run down, but the binding might just be enough to turn it. The ignites on the petrifying gaze. And first blood picked up for Fury.
Oh, it looked so good for Vrao to just dodge out of all of the skill shot CC being chucked in his direction, but then tries to go for the hyphy play to turn around to proc all the vitals off of the Gragas, get the healing back through, but his team wasn't in a close enough position to try and collapse. Governor was on his way down. Scood was follow up behind, but gets caught out by the binding of Heathen and ignited down. First blood over to Fury. Does leave Dragdar in a large deficit though, having his support roaming around, spending a lot of time focused on the mid lane. 25 minions down on the Xayah.
And you see, bot lane, they're able to push up, get themselves some plates. They're working for their third in the bot lane. Sure, it was a misplay by Brow, but he's actually doing okay to keep even in CS for the moment. We'll be working a fairly large wave towards Fury, though, so Fury should be able to pull himself back ahead with that first blood as well. Got himself the Tear of the Goddess, so he's going to have a lot more mana to play with, and Vrow, this lane's only going to get harder. So I'm going to go for a fight here. Does actually have the Gnar, uses it, hits him in place. Can't take some pretty chunky damage there by Governor. They do just step away, but look for the spears, look for the slows. Dragdar takes a fair amount of damage as the spear will connect.
Dude's just going to go back to base. He said, my job here is done. I've had my impact.
Look at the CS lead in the bot lane.
Yeah, it's quite disgusting. And a lot of that comes down to the fact that Heathen was roaming around early, getting some plays in the mid lane where they did capitalize and find a kill, but the gold that they picked up from that isn't probably nowhere near enough to maintain the gap that Dragdar has found himself behind of Jackamaka in this one. And it's kind of what you expect. With a Caitlyn Karma lane, you're going to get poked out. You're going to be under your tower most of the time.
But this is exactly what we saw in game 1 from Barrage's bot lane. Barrage retirement home.
Yep, agreed.
Pushing up in the lane, getting a CS lead, and then Dragdar with one good teamfight just turns it back around.
I think a large part of Dragdar turning it around last game was picking up the huge bounty on Scood's head, which he doesn't actually have this time. PFI's keeping up better in farm. Scood isn't picking up any kills in the early stages of the game. Hasn't also had the insane control around the Dragon Pit that he had at the start of the previous game either, so might not have that as a fallback option of just kill the Nidalee and get all this gold back.
But then, for the side of Barrage Retirement Home, now they don't have a fed Nidalee. He's able to poke out and force PFI away, so now PFI more easy able to kind of set up for these plays, as you saw him in that mid lane. Set up for the first blood for Fury.
Again, Heathen roaming towards the mid lane. 3 members of the retirement home on the bot side, but Kakan.
This is dangerous. Governor's about to gnaw out. He has got the Mega. Goes for the Wallop. The ulti's already going to use the Dominus by Kakan. Nice and big, and Governor just sends him back towards his tower. Ulti for ult, but the difference is Governor's is on a much shorter cooldown.
He just shoved him back towards his tower just to make sure that there was no potential that Kakan could trade back some additional damage at the end of that one. PFI was making his way up towards the top side. It's not unheard of for junglers to gank through the enemy towers, particularly these Predator junglers, so sensible choice of Governor to make sure he couldn't take any extra damage, but the response will be the first Cloud Drake, just to allow a little bit faster rotations.
They're collapsing. Jackamaka has to flash away. Reclamation forced to flash as well. The cask delivers him back into the team, and Fury gets himself his second kill.
Well, no much faster rotations than a Predator Gragas just collapsing on your team. And again, it's all 3 defensive summoners of the bot lane. They were back up and available, and they were immediately expended again. And this time, the Reclamation was the prize.
And also, you got to keep in mind, Vrow on this Fiora is just going to get pushed in endlessly here. They're actually using the ulti. A lot of damage onto Heathen, though, by the spear. Forces him to use that stopwatch already. Scoot wants to find that last auto attack. Pit of a Peacemaker not going to find its mark. And somehow Diabolus are able to get their way out of that.
Good little bait from Barrage Retirement Home on the bottom side. Very much calculated because, you know, didn't have the flash or the heal, so knew, okay, I can take this exact amount of damage before, you know, things get a little hairy. But Heathen forced to use his stopwatch early on, goes under the tower, takes the spear from Scood, and that is enough damage to make anyone nervous. He does have to burn his flash as well to keep himself alive, but isn't overly punished for the play. But that is really the first sign of aggression that we've seen out of the Diabolus bot lane as a duo. A lot of it's been Heathen roaming towards mid lane and making things happen, and it's been working out. Fury is 2-0, but Dragdar just doesn't seem to be having the same look.
Well, Varel now has his Tiamat. Fury has a full item, and Reclamation has a binding. Diabolus now looking to see if they can get some damage down as Predator's already been used. Vrao, remember, does have the riposte. Has at least some kind of defensive capabilities here, but looks like this will just be the start of the Rift Herald. Scood Looking to close in. Misses the spear very narrowly onto Heaven and PFI. Reclamation can just poke them down inside there. That's the cast getting used. Goes a little bit wide. That's the whiff.
PFI?
Heaven's going to take some poke as well as the spear does come out. The inner flames there, and now Fury has to be a little bit careful with PFI. He's just keeping it aggroed for the moment. Barrage retirement home, don't keep the aggro on. It's just going to be a full reset. Still not seeing anything out of this Fiora mid, by the way.
Hey, it's only got like one component. Give it a chance. PFI ultimate onto the wall there.
Governor has got the gnaw. That's going to be a wall he can land into if he wants to. Kakan with the dominance.
That's an
He
ultimate
has to do
you
a fair
can
amount, but he's going to take a wallop to the face, taking a lot of damage in return here. Governor actually might just be able to get himself the kill. Oh, one more builder toss to flash forward. Governor is about to be able to jump for more. Can he chase? Yes, he can. The boomerang to the back of Kakan's head as the Rift Herald gets picked up for Barrage as well. All things coming up ships. That's right.
Again, Barrage just taking advantages all across the map at once. Immediately gonna drop this Rift Herald topside. Gonna be a 3-man strong hold from Diabolus.
Pushing this up here. PFI's on that flank, remember. Cask is coming up. Black Shield's already been used. The Nikes are on, and PFI looking for a belly slam. Reclamation's gonna have to use some fancy footwork, trying to get their heel off. The Ignite onto Dragdar, not quite enough to keep him alive. And Scoot looking for a cheeky spear. Not gonna find it as it just fades away from Dragdar. They don't even get the charge out of the Rift Herald. A massive misplay. Now Kakan's coming in for the tower dive. Does have to be a little careful as there's a teleport coming in. Fury on that flank of Kakan is going to be sent packing.
Teleport traded for the Fiora and the Renekton. They dropped the Rift Herald there because tower plates were about to despawn, so they just desperately wanted to try and get some gold out of it to accelerate the pace of the game. Haven't been able to do so to the same extent as they did in the previous game. Still about 300 gold ahead, which is pretty much nothing at 14 minutes into the game. Fury sitting about 1,000 gold up ahead of Rao in the mid lane. It's what we expected with the melee champ of Fiora being into someone who can definitely bully a lower range champion, and that's exactly why. That grounded effect, just so overpowering.
He has to be really good at his timing to riposte the Petrifying Gaze. Otherwise, that forces you to stand still, and it's very telegraphed on when the animation ends. So Fury can always find an easy Petrifying Gaze if Rao isn't quick on the fingers. And now, still just struggling to really do anything on this Fiora. Just, the reason I'm going on about it is the Kiana was open. The Kiana is so much better in these scenarios. But, you know, he wanted the Fiora. He wanted to be a top laner, I guess. Scoot, find that spear. Just a little bit too late. Not going to be able to secure himself an objective there.
I just think a lot of what went wrong for Barrage in the previous game happened around the Baron pit, right? With like the Baron steal, they got collapsed on after picking up that objective a couple of times overall in the previous game. You've got a Gnar who can knock everyone into a wall, so the combo with Kiana would just make it near enough impossible for Diabolus to contest. And I guess they're going for more of the late game split push option.
Well, so, technically almost won them the last one as Kakan.
It was very close, but it was kind of a whim, like spur of the moment thing. It wasn't exactly the plan coming into it to base race and lose with 150 health on the enemy Nexus, and a Caitlyn auto-attack projectile in midair. Absolutely insane how close the previous game was, and this one's shaping up to be no different. With only 100 gold between the two teams, Diabolus going to make a change to that with their first tower of the game. Evens things up in terms of the score, but 500 gold now their gold lead. Fury's already stacked up a Seraph's Embrace, and that was very crucial item on Cassiopeia earlier today.
Barrage now pushing up towards this top side of the map. Scoot. He needs to be a little careful as Kakan is about, but stealing away those Krogs. Lands himself a spear, actually jumps in for the executes. A lot of damage onto Kakan. Kakan is going to get sent packing as That's going to be Barrage's second turret here. Binding goes a little bit wide by the Heathen onto Jakamaka and Reclamation. Mid lane turrets still stand a piece. Governor's doing some serious work onto Kakan. Really, really bullying him here. Now Vrao feels a little bit more comfortable. Actually uses the ulti to try and get some damage out, but it's just, that's what I'm talking about, the timing. Unless you time it perfectly, you're not going to get the CC. You're not going to be able to find those marks.
Didn't quite have it down and just forced to back away. It's a trade of ultimates, which overall isn't too bad, but Vrao definitely took the worst end of that trade. He's about 30% health. Fury's back to full health and mana, and he still has Seraph's.
It's entirely the phase rush. The Cassiopeia has the phase rush, just has to land a few abilities, and then is able to kite the Fiora for days. Fiora can't really do much about it. And now, I don't really know at what point Vrao kind of takes over this matchup, because I feel like you need to have been snowballed on the Fiora, and you're not going to snowball versus the Cassiopeia.
I think it comes down again, as we mentioned before, the late game lane assignments. If Vrao is able to find a lane up against Kakan, then maybe he's able to take that 1v1, but there's a Spear of Shojin on the Renekton already, so...
And components for Vrao.
His 1v1 is definitely not slouching. He is struggling a little bit up against Governor, but you know, that's unfair. He brought a ranged advantage with him.
Yeah, and I feel like if you're Barrage Retirement Home, you're quite happy with the fact that Governor is kind of doing pretty well into Kakan. So they're quite comfortable just not to put Vrao versus him, because they know Vrao isn't really ready to fight the Renekton. Vrao looking to clear out this wave, but does have to be a little careful as multiple members from Diabolus are rotating towards that side of the map, but they're now heading back towards the mid lane. Even looking for the binding. Gonna find one. There's gonna be a lot of damage on. The cask is gonna be enough. They don't pull it back, actually. The cask saves the life of Reclamation, because he won't get chain CC by the feathers. That was just almost dangerous.
Just a lack of overcommittal there from Diabolus. Didn't want to flash over the wall for the follow-up. Did PFI, and it turns out to be the better of the options, as Scood was already there for the backup.
Now PFI's on that flank, doesn't have that cast, gets himself a flash belly bob. Jakamaka flashes away, places the trap down to pin him in place. Vrao leaps in, and that's going to be a kill for Jakamaka. The flank here by Scood as he lands himself a spear. Governor's coming in, Reclamation flashes forward. The chains have already been used. The ace in the hole lands in, but Kakan tries to get the damage onto Scood. Scood is running away. Kakan's chasing him down as Heathen is going to fall. Kakan's trying to chase for more, but he can't find it. Governor flashes forward, the knockback, the flash away by Fury. He's going to go down. A shutdown picked up for the Governor, and now Dragdar does turn it around for one onto Vrao. Kakan's healed back up. This might just be the end of the turret in the mid lane.
Will be the case. 20 minutes in, the tower will fall. It's a 2-for-1 engagement for the Barrage Retirement Home. They're looking to pick themselves up the second Cloud Drake as it respawns. Maybe that's just going to be Diabolus kicking themselves for not going for the aggressive play to try and blow up Reclamation the first time around, but PFI has praised him for not going to overcommit on the aggression under the tower, and then he goes and predators under the tower and flashes forward. Almost blows up Jakamaka, but not quite. And then burning the stopwatch just puts him in a perfect position to get stunned up immediately as soon as he gets out of that with the snap traps, and it's just an easy collapse for the Retirement Home to capitalize, take that tower in the mid lane and the Cloud Drake as well. So now they open the gold lead up. It's still only about 1,000 gold, but definitely a better position to find themselves in than the dead even that we've been stuck at for the past 20 minutes. Ragdar, though, has picked up a couple of kills in the engagement, so...
That could have been dangerous for Heathen. Governor could have gnawed him back into the wall, but luckily for him, Governor messes up the blast cone. Now Governor's going to make his way back up towards the top lane. Has got Scoot at his back as the binding is going to find its mark actually with the miasma. They're going to do a lot of damage here. Pins him in place, and that is just going to be the end of days. A shutdown for Fury. Teleport coming in as well towards this top side. Looks like Vrao's going to join the flanks. Gets himself a good riposte off. Ace in the hole onto PFI. Dragdar was the one to try and tank that as the spear goes a little bit wide. Now another miasma to send them packing. Dragdar has been caught out, but has the Feather Storm. Calls back the Feathers. finds himself a turnaround as Scoot shorts the shutdown down for himself. A 1 for 2 in favor of Diabolus and a tower.
He should never have been in that position in the first place. Never mind to have picked up a kill. That's pretty insane. Just shows how Dragdar has been able to drag himself up. Deals the damage.
I don't know who's found who here. The spear's going to come down and Scoot steals away the kill. Now leaping in, looking for Fury. Points are going to get hit by Vrao, but he flashes away as the teleport's coming in. This is Kakan. Nobody's getting any crocodile skin boots today, though. See, just slides and glides and slices and dices his way away. But he's going back in. Looking for Vrao here. Vrao does have a fair amount of damage, but he is not optimized to deal with him. The blast cone will send him packing. In comes PFI. That's a shutdown on the Scooter. Now Vrao being chased down by Kakan. Fury is going to just mince through Jakamaka. And Fury has no tower, no safety to run to. So he does have himself a few jumps away. And they just want to go for Baron here. Diabolus quite happy to go for this objective. Reclamation. The empowered inner flame is going to do a lot of damage, but Dragdar is on that flank like you said. Look for Governor though. Can try and see if he can gnaw out in time, as I think they're just going to have to give up this objective.
Diabolus gets themselves the Baron without having a miracle steal, but Reclamation will just about get himself out.
That was close. Reclamation really playing with fire there.
I think close is the key word of this series. Everything about these two teams has been so back and forth. Everything has just been a hair's breadth away from disaster for either of these teams.
Sorry about that. Last game really got in my throat. I'm itching for the action, man. I want to have a clear throat for it. Right. There've been a few team fights, but nothing quite as big as what we saw in the last game.
Which ended without a team fight.
Which ended without a team fight. Vrao actually going in for Kakan here, trying to proc those vital spots here. The grand challenge has been issued. Gets himself the big healing spot. Kakan trying to go 1v2, but Scoot just takes him down nice and simple. It's an easy kill picked up for the jungler here for Barrage.
Kakan chasing down onto Scoot just gave the angles that Vrao needed to proc that fourth vital, get the healing in the big AoE, and really close down any chance that Kakan had of turning that in his favor.
There's a lot of poke available to this team. That's the one thing. But Baron buff onto Diabolus
Fury
means they are going to be fairly comfortable to push up. Fury on that side, like you said. This turret should just go down nice and simple. Spears are going to get dodged out as well. Scoot unable to find that opening, find that mark. And Jakamaka, this time, he's not 0-6. He's still down to what Dragdar's doing at the moment. He's still not really had that impact on the Caitlyn we want.
A lot of the impact that he has been able to have is in the early stages of the game, just shoving in the lanes, holding Dragdar down, but Dragdar, the difference is he's been finding the kills in the fights. The kills on Diabolus, they have 8 overall across the entire team, and 7 of them are on the 2 primary carries. Really giving those kills over where they need to go. They've got the Infernal Drake as well, and they're looking to try and equalize out a bit of the power of the Cloud Drakes. And the Scoot can go for the steal with the spear. It was
close again.
It was almost a C word, but not quite.
Close, but no cigar.
Grapes?
He's got it.
He got it back.
That was a long time ago.
I was.
I felt like you're really out of the loop if you don't know Graves doesn't have a cigar. Fear fight, just speeding around. Now he's got that Cloud Drake. Barrage Time at home denied their third. So as this match sinks, those Cloud Drakes actually do get quite useful for rotating around. You see Barrage Time at home trying to send Mumbers up. Still got Baron buff for 35 seconds. They might try and see if they can crack open yet another turret. They might be able to do so. Miasma's going to get used. Vrao take a little bit of damage as the ace in the hole gets blocked out by the Gragas. This could just be the end of the turret. They've got 2 cannon minions to work with, 21 seconds to go. Should be nice and easy pick up turret for them. No outer turrets remain for Barrage Retirement Home in this game.
It all just comes down to their base defense now. They have a lot of artillery from long range, but when things get up close, it's mostly the Diabolus show. The one exception really is this Governor and Kakan scrapping in the bottom lane. He's going to be forced away, but it opens the doors for Diabolus to push in this top side. It's half health on the tower already.
And then Fight comes in with big engage. Massive Meowsman's already secured one. Dragdar stepping forward, gets himself a double kill. Jumps up with the Feather Storm to make sure he is not going to get picked up by the Grand Challenge. Tower's already gone down. Diabolus, that might have just been the final nail in the coffin for the old people. They're going to get taken down here. You can see Kakard getting jumped onto by Governor. Governor trying to get that damage off in time. Spear comes out by Scoot. There's already a turret. Sorry, a kill has been picked up. Turret number 1 on the Nexus has been fallen down here. Scoot has to do some kind of a miracle. Governor, no ulti available to him. The binding's onto Scoot. Bye-bye, Scoot. The Nexus will be the focus. 27 minutes on the clock. The pension hasn't kicked in. And Diabolus get themselves the win.
And it's the Barrage funeral home, as it turns out, as Diabolus in 2 games take them out of the tournament. Their boot camp has definitely come up, and I hear that their Zen training on the mountain just gave them all the calm that they needed in that hectic end game of game 1 where everyone's losing their minds. They're like, you know what, it's fine. We'll play it out in game 2.
Deep breaths.
We'll close it out.
Reset.
We won't go for that again. You know, they tried the base race. It was a little bit close, so they decided, you know what, let's just end this one out cleanly. They got themselves the Baron buff, and really just that overstep from Scoot in the bottom lane, just showing himself chasing out the Kakan. Just PFI just switches it on with the body slam flash onto 2 members, and
I mean,
that's all they needed.
Honestly, the way those fights kind of broke out is talking about how casters work here is normally the color will like set me up and pass it over, but the fights were just bam, we're in. And it was like you just had to jump into those fights because PFI just would flip the switch and the fights would start. There was no warm up. It was every time like I can go. There wasn't even I can go. It's just,
he was just like,
PFI go.
I've already gone.
Their Zen training, they all knew they were on the same wavelength. There was no words needed.
What if? Because Wales is like synonymous with like sheep, right? There's a lot of farming in the country, and they cloned a sheep, right?
Where are we going with this?
What if they just cloned PFI?
Five times.
PFIs. They're all just playing under different names. So every time he just goes in, he doesn't even need to communicate because they're all already going in with him.
We might have to check the rules on cloning and players and if you can use the same player more than once.
Yeah,
we'll get back to you on that.
We'll
See if multi-boxing is actually allowed here in the UK League of Legends scene. But yeah, fantastic showing there by Diabolus. They got themselves a 2-0. And our 2 2-0s were very different from one another. The first one was very one-sided by Barrage. Barrage retirement home versus Diabolus, a very different game though. Game 1 was scrappy, it was back and forth, it was exciting, it was heart-racing, it was exhilarating. Again, game 2 actually
was scrappy, close, but the ending was
more controlled though. In the same sense, actually, Series 1 had a kind of controlled game 2. Series 2 also had a controlled game 2, but it was definitely closer than it was in our first matchup.
Yeah, definitely. At least game 2 of Series 2 wasn't trying to put us all on our death's beds by the time we're 45, because our heart rate has just exploded. But
yeah, I think I might go join.
Yeah, we need
I
some
might go
spin
join
classes.
Diabolus on their next vacation and go meditate on the top of a Welsh
We might
mountain.
need it after that.
Let's have a little look at our bracket to see how everything is facing out at the end of today. Now, Barrage with that win will be going up against XL UK in the next round of the tournament. Diabolus with that win will be going up versus Demise, a matchup we've actually seen a few times in the past. But coming up tomorrow, we'll have Envision versus Degree from the NSE and Enclave versus Bulldog, the qualifiers from the Insomnia Masters tournament, and they'll be going up against either Phelan or Eminem respectively, depending on who they win.
We get a Hell Classico best of 3.
This is actually our 3rd Hell Classico. Maybe I'll have
it's
to
our 3rd, it's our 4th, and our 5th Hell Classico, potentially.
Maybe I'll have to whip out the old paint again, see what I can whip up. We'll have a look.
That's a spoiler for next week's show.
Maybe. I'm not making promises here. Just so you know, I'm not making promises. I've got a busy week.
JKH25 makes a comeback.
I'm 26 now, man.
Oh, really?
I had my birthday.
Wow, you need to update your artist signature.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. I haven't done the art. Actually, I have done art since my birthday. And it had my right age on. So actually,
there you
screw
go.
you weren't paying attention. Our MVP for that series was Dragdar. Top laner.
Is he 26?
No, mid laner.
You're still wrong. He's definitely in the bot lane.
AD carry.
If there was ever a reason,
Sorry, Dragdar. I know what role you play. It's just been one of those days.
If there was ever a reason for the honor system in League of Legends, for the tilt-proof honor to exist, Dragdar just personifies
up with me
that.
not realizing what lane he plays.
Well, there is that. Well, I don't. Maybe he isn't. Maybe he's on his way around now to
no,
give me the fist.
I feel like
but-
he's going to come and meditate in front of me. Like, come on me,
Well,
brother.
that is true. That is true. His Zen boot camp has definitely paid off because he was getting beaten up in the bottom lanes. He was behind on CS for the first 10 minutes of both of those games.
Yeah.
But he just picks up the key kills in team fights. First game gets the shutdown on Scoot. Second game he gets up 3 kills just in random scrappy little fights, and then he ends up ahead of the Caitlyn that's just been beating him up all game, and Jakamaka just can't really keep up with getting the kills in the main fights. And that's,
I mean, it was just
source of
accepting.
gold.
It was accepting your losses and going, okay,
Yeah.
this lane is not going to go as well as I want, but I trust and I rely on my team. I have some serious questions about that Pyramid. What the hell was that? It did literally nothing.
it will definitely work as a counter pick, but as a blind pick,
It was very confident. I don't want to flame, but that was terrible. That was not a good idea. Don't blind pick Fiora mid, kids. That's what we learned from today. When Kiana is open, Kiana's pretty good. And we might be going, hey, we'll see you after the break for game 3. But no, pick Fiora mid. Wasn't able to really do a lot with it. It literally offered nothing apart from 1 kill.
they killed the Renekton like once, but I mean,
And
Nal,
he
Nal was
almost
doing that
turned
by
that fight
himself,
around.
So
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was not the showing
Maybe
I
he just
wanted.
never had the opportunity. Just like Jakamaka, he's probably like a beast in team fights, but he never had the opportunity to show it because PFI is just blowing him up at the start of every single one.
Well, fantastic games here on our first day of Forge of Champions, but tomorrow we'll be back with 2 more best of 3 series. So make sure you tune in there, and then until then, we'll see you later.